The aging narcissist over 50 onto whenever till they die. So an aging narcissist, they get worse. So they're losing their looks. They're going bald. They're getting fatter, and they haven't really taken care of themselves throughout their lifetime. I mean, who can with all that control, right? So they get more controlling. They have less patience, and they can't get the supply that they used to have. So they don't have people lined up like before. So they could bounce back to an old girlfriend and recycle maybe an ex-wife and that kind of thing. So they tend to try to get control right away. So the love bomb doesn't last as long. It's more like, yeah, they swoop in. I mean, you thought they were fast before. Within a week, they're going to tell you they're in love. And they'll start buying you gifts, taking you on trips and that kind of thing. But it lasts shorter period. So it could be 2 to 3 months. And then, you're going to he's going to try to gaslight and all these good things to try to control you. Because it's their goal. If they can capture you and keep you, they won't have to worry about getting more supply. But the problem is they still get bored. They still want new shiny things, but they can't get real young girls anymore because of the way they look. So they may go out and start doing Botox or plastic surgery or that kind of thing, hair plugs, I don't know, wig. I always loved the toupees, right? So anyway, so they start doing these, maybe dyeing their hair, that kind of thing to see if they can get shiny new things. And so anyway, so they get more controlling and everything, and you end up like getting confused. The thing is because normal people are empaths even, we look at them and are like more older too. So we're a little bit wiser and we're like, no, you know what? I don't want to deal with that. So they tend to lose supply quickly. And then it's harder for them to get another one. They have children that have probably quit talking to them because of the way they treated them, when they were growing up, and continued throughout their lifetime. They're losing friends because they rage out on them. They do the same thing with friends as any other pattern that they choose. They're starting to look more like a-hole, seriously, in a group of people, so they don't get invited out as much. So they're relying on dating sites, and that type of thing, and they might be on 5 or 6 of them, trying to get a lineup of supply, but it takes them longer. It might take them 2 to 3 years, sometimes 5 years, before they find somebody that they can love bomb again, and they start to crash. They go into a deep depression without supply, because now they have to face their own shame. So when they get into their 60s, they're starting to lose, like, physical, they're having physical problems, so that they might get diabetes, they might have heart conditions, joint conditions, they might need knee replacements and that kind of thing. And now they have no one to take care of them, and if they do have somebody at that time, then that poor person, they get so grouchy, they demand things right now, where were you? Why don't you answer the phone? I mean, it reminds me of those movies with, like, the little old grandma in bed with the bell, and ding, 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 I need a drink of water right now, and so, but that's what it reminds me of. Now when you get into their 70s, they even get worse, because now if they do get a supply, kudos, I guess for them. But most people by then, they're not looking, they've given up and not dating. I mean, there's a few, I suppose, but it's harder, really harder. So a lot of times they end up alone and they go into a depression, nobody, oh, woe is me type thing, that vulnerable wham, look at me. And then they make people feel sorry for them, that maybe friends or exes or something like that will take care of them. And they abuse the heck out of them. Or they end up in a home, by the time they're late 70s, 80s, maybe even earlier, and they might get dementia, and that's even worse. So now you have a narcissist who can't remember anything, and, if you've been around anybody with dementia, they get frustrated just by not remembering words, you know, and that kind of thing. So then they go off, you know, because they're already frustrated, and they just go off at the nurses and everything until nobody really wants to deal with them, and they end up lonely, very, very lonely, by themselves, depressed, and it's a sad, sad thing, but that's the karma of a narcissist.